we have a really good group of guys that I enjoy being around. They root for each other, they care about each other. They have a really good, strong sense of team. Now, that changes. That will change. Hopefully, for the better, we'll get stronger as the season starts. But as a coach, you always worry about the opening of the season, because when we play an inter-squad now, everybody gets to play. When you open the season, only 9 guys get to play at any given time, and that becomes a challenge for all coaches. So our challenge is to make sure that everybody understands their role and make sure that they know when they're going to play and how they're going to help the team win. As we've gotten started in January, it's the same thing. They've done a really nice job with the team aspect of things. We've gotten our work in. We played 3 inter-squads this past weekend. It went well. As I told the team on Sunday, as the head coach, you don't want to see the offense do too well, because then you worry about the pitching. You don't want the pitching to dominate, because then you worry about the hitting. And I thought it was a pretty good balance, at least for me and my ability to get some rest at night. So I thank them for that. We had the right amount of hits. We hit some home runs. We struck out some guys. The nice thing is we played flawless defense in the field, which is important. And we have a couple more weeks before opening day. Looking forward to it.
Coach, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
The first question I had for you was about the pitching staff. Trey kind of said this earlier, but it's a bit of a younger staff this season. I wanted to hear from you just kind of what you've seen from these younger pitchers and these arms here.
Well, it is a younger staff, and by age and by innings. We have some sophomores that are going to play vital roles, that have transferred in from other places, that had the obligatory 7 to 10 innings, so they're young and they're young and a little inexperienced in terms of mound time. Our job in the beginning, and I've said it, I feel like a broken record, and it's not coach speak, it's the truth. Our job is to make sure that they're put in positions of success early, to make sure that we can get more out of them later in the year. Trey, he's only a sophomore, but he did throw 60 innings, I think. But he's looked really, really good. Murph has a number of innings under his belt. He's looked good. James Littman has been phenomenal. I know he's only a freshman, but age is just a number, right? Either you're good or you're not. He'll be fine. The guys will be fine. Even the guys that are quote unquote young, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. It's our job to help them.
I'm going to butcher this name. Akide?
Akide.
The lefty who had the unfortunate preseason last year.
Akide Adetuyi.
How's he doing?
Doing well. He threw his first inning Saturday. First time he's been out for FAU. Got hurt. Had Tommy John probably last October.
Right.
Phenomenal guy. So happy for him that he's back, and the one thing he can do is compete. I'm not worried about him in terms of being nervous or anything like that. He's a phenomenal young man, and I'm so happy for him. And he's got a lovely family, and he had Tommy John. He never boo-hooed. He just said, okay, it's part of life, and he's been great.
They've made a lot of progress in that area, that particular procedure over the years, haven't they?
Yeah. The procedure is Tommy John should be in the Hall of Fame just because of the surgery, but he had a phenomenal career. He should be in the Hall of Fame, but the voters don't see it that way. Plus, he has a lasting legacy on baseball, which no one's ever, he's got his own surgery named after him that saved the career of many, many, many people. They've made advances. Young people are stronger, they're healthier, the training staffs are better, the rehab staffs are better. So it's been a team effort. And most importantly, the Tommy John does not worry people. The mental part of it, A lot of people think they're better when they get back, but the surgery certainly helps. But it's really all the rehab that goes in that they don't do on a normal basis. So he had faith in everybody. He had faith in himself, and he's, knock on wood, he's healthy, and he'll pitch again this Friday.
That's something that you guys were kind of missing a little bit, what he brings to the table.
Yeah, last year's pitching staff, they did a great job. They got off to such a great start, and then we just had so few bodies. Yep. And then it just became, kind of caught up to us as we got later in April and of course in May. But he would have certainly helped because of, Drumheller was hurt most of the year, and we didn't have another lefty to go to. And Kide certainly has he throws from a low 3/4. He has a very unique arm slot that people don't see. So we're looking forward to, unveiling that to the world, so to speak, as we get going here.
That's what I was asking. Okay, thank you.
You got it.
Coach, like Sam mentioned, you have some experience under your belt coaching. So how would you say that you stay motivated and continue to want to innovate as a coach?
The players. The players. Two things. The overriding thing is the players, past and present. Every day when I get up, I want to make sure that the previous players that laid the groundwork and made this place what it is are proud of Florida Atlantic University baseball. And then, of course, I want the new players to understand what the previous players did, put their own stamp on it, so we all move forward together. The innovating part is exciting. You can't. I think I am able to understand the new, and I like to try to blend the two and explain that to the young guys that it's not just the numbers. There is a little bit of gut instinct to this, and I try to come their way, and I ask them to come my way so we can kind of do it together. And I try to teach them a little bit, and then they're teaching me some of it. The bottom line is the baseball, sports in general, everything comes down to competition. If you're willing to compete, and I think we're losing that because young people in all sports are so geared to the numbers, and they forget about the competition part of it. So we're trying to get back to the competition, but stay motivated. I've been motivated for this program to win and get to Omaha since I got here in 1990, and that hasn't changed. We've got to figure out a way to get there for the program, for the university, for the athletic department.
Coach, a bat that I wanted to ask you about that you guys brought in was Marshall Lipsy out of the JUCO level, a national championship for him at that level. What can you say about his bat from what you saw in the fall and his experience that he has in high-level games and what that'll bring to the Owls?
Well, he's a very good center fielder. He's a very good athlete. The one thing that he has, probably better than a lot of people, he has a great personality. He doesn't have a bad day. When he walks in the dugout, he's here. He's smiling. Even when things are not going his way, he's smiling. I think I mentioned it, he's very receptive to coaching, and he can play center field. He's athletic. He's got a chance to be a really, really good player. The ball comes off his bat a little bit differently. You saw him. He's not that big, but he is strong, and he's very wiry. He's gonna have a really nice year. And plus, like you said, the added bonus of, he went through it last year and they won a national championship. So there was he played on an exceptional team, but there was a lot of close games. There was a lot of, we'll get him tomorrow. And that's some of the things that are more valuable sometimes than the actual on-field play, is to have someone that's been there to say, hey, you know what, Friday night didn't go our way, we'll be back Saturday, or Saturday didn't go our way, we'll be back Sunday. Resiliency is another tool that you try to get guys to buy into a little bit. You gotta ask a question, you're here. Anything.
What's the most rewarding part about being FAU's coach for as long as you have?
The players. It's always about the players. You're doing a story on the Murphy brothers, correct? No? Someone is?
Different person, yes.
Okay. One of the points of pride that I have is over the years, we'll use the Murphy brothers, for example. I recruited and coached their father, and I knew their mother when she was a student here. And I think it's an unbelievable point of pride for our program and for me personally that they want their sons to be here too. You know, our job as educators is to teach them life through baseball. Our mission is to expand the reach of the university through athletics, to enable the general public to find out how good we are through athletics, right? We can get, President Brogan once said this, and it's so true, we can get 2,000, 2,500 people to come to a baseball game. We're not going to get 2,500 people to go to a chemistry lab, right? We're going to get 10 or 15 or 20,000 people to go to a football game. We're not going to get that many people to go to an English class. So we are expanding the reach of the university through athletics. And I'm very prideful of the fact that we've done that. Our guys graduate, they're in the community, they're working, they become productive citizens. And my job is to remind them of that constantly, that we have to make sure you're ready for life after sports. Because for all of us, it ends at some point. You know, even the greatest players, it ends at some point, and they have to transition into something else. So those are the two things over the years, and it's been enjoyable. Personally, my own story, you know, I met my wife here, and our family, 2 young kids grew up on this campus, so it's a special place for me.
I'll ask something about Tyler. I worked over the summer in the SFCBL, and I'm pretty sure he was my player of the game after every start.
Yeah, I imagine. He had a good summer.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you saw any film from over the summer, but from what you've seen since he's came back, have you seen any kind of improvement in any certain aspect of his game?
Well, everything that he does has gotten a little bit better, right? He's relatively new to pitching. You know, he was a shortstop, and then kind of his senior year of high school, he transitioned into more of a pitcher. And then, of course, when he got here, he became a full-time pitcher. So his stuff continues to get a little bit better. His velo's ticked up, his breaking ball's gotten a little bit sharper. And then I think that just being on the mound, there's no substitute for experience. And we've seemed to forget that at times, especially in the climate we are in athletics, in baseball, where we think a lot of indoor practice time or film sessions they're helpful, but nothing is like playing in the game. And it was important. He pitched a full season last year. Then he had a couple starts in the South Florida Collegiate League, and then he had a couple starts in Cape, and he's come back, and I think he's ready to have a big year. Our job is to make sure that we manage his expectations, right? There's a lot of pro interest, and we've got to kind of make sure that he's focusing on one thing. Just strike one. That's all you need to focus on. Once that's over, then focus on the next pitch, right? Kind of boil it down to its simplest thing.
I think he struck his brother out once too, if I remember correctly.
His brother, I think, has the better of him since we've been here. I don't know about in the summer. He got a hit off him on Saturday. I think he hit a home run off him one time in the fall. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think that Dylan has gotten the best of Tyler since they've been here. But it's written down somewhere.
Coach, kind of moving on to community and fan engagement, how important would you say that fan support is to the team, and what role do you see and do you want to see the community playing in this upcoming season?
I think it's really important. That kind of goes without saying. When there's fans in the game, at the game and in the stands, there's so much different. It's a different energy, right? You come and watch this inter squad on Saturday, and there'll be, 8 to 12 or 15 people there, and the guys are getting ready. But then opening night, when there's going to be 1,500 people there, it's just a different energy, And baseball's a little bit different because of the fans aren't cheering as the play goes on. Like in football, you're stomping your feet, to help the defense. And in basketball, you're yelling at the guy as he's shooting. In baseball, you really don't see that, but it's just the overall energy. And, the players are so accessible. They're right there. I would love, and it's a great deal. The fans need to come out, and I know we just did a season ticket drive. You can come to a college baseball game for 3 hours of fun for $3. You can't do anything for $3 nowadays. Can't even get a side of guacamole at the Chipotle's for $3. So it's great, and I hope everybody comes out, and you can tell the difference when they're there. Sam, any questions?
Yeah, so you haven't had a whole lot of probably two-sport guys since you've been here. So Kyle Boylston, still in his first 10 days or so since he made the move over from football. What have you seen so far, and where do you see him factoring in?
This is our second two-sport. Jackson Windstrom, a number of years ago, played football and, of course, was with us. Kyle is a very, very athletic, talented player. And because he wasn't with us all fall, and he hasn't played a baseball game since May of 24, because he graduated, or May of 24. Then he graduated. He came right down here to start his football career. He is doing fine, and we still have to get to know him in terms of the context of the whole team to be able to know where he fits in best. But he hasn't been overmatched. To his credit, I know he hit a lot over the break. He's hit a lot since he got back, and he still has some responsibilities with the football program that he takes care of. He's an amazing young guy, and our challenge is to make sure that we bring him along at the right pace. We can't walk him down to the deep end of the pool and dump him in. We've got to make sure that we handle this correctly for the length of his career opposed to the short term, right? Because he's trying to do two things, which is difficult. That's why you don't see it that much. I don't think. We've had two, Jackson and him. I wanted to make sure.
Talking about your pitching staff, you guys have a lot of pitchers on your roster, and maybe some guys' ERAs are a little higher than you'd like them to be. So how do you plan on kind of navigating through that this season?
We got to get a better scorekeeper. It's all on how you count the numbers. In baseball, you have to have, especially the pitching staff, you have to have some numbers. Because everybody is in a different path to success. Everybody has a different path to success. We've simplified some things. We've simplified some things in the pitch calling. We've simplified some things in the scouting reports. Try to get back to the just nuts and bolts of strike one, those type of things, and not, all too often, especially in baseball, I can't speak to other sports, with the amount of data and the amount of scouting reports, sometimes, and I use this analogy sometimes we take young people and we put them in master level classes in terms of stats and data when they're still in an undergrad mentality. So we've got to kind of keep it a little bit simpler and then grow as they grow. And a lot of places you're talking about back end stuff opposed to front end stuff when those guys are that good. So our challenge is, as all coaches, are to make sure that the information that you give the players is the information they can handle, right? And especially on the pitching side, because there's so much data associated with pitching. And young people ask me all the time, what's my spin rate? I go, it doesn't matter. You didn't get the guy out, the spin rate doesn't matter, right? The batter doesn't say, oh, if your spin rate's so good, I'll just swing and miss for you, right? Because that's what I'm supposed to do. The data, young people are learning the data before they learn how to pitch at times. And it should be the other way around, where we use the data to exponentially make them better. They want to use the data, and it doesn't, there has to be a progression in it, you know? So some of that stuff is our challenge and not theirs, that we have to make sure that they're getting the information that they need and they can handle, and then as they understand it, to be able to expand out on it. So getting back to your original question, we try to simplify some things, try to get back to the basics a little bit. More strikes, more aggressiveness early in the count, and not so much of, you know, trying to pick and choose what we do. Just be a little bit more like, hey, we're going to go after guys, and whatever happens, happens. And then there are some guys that you can be a little bit more advanced with, because they can throw strikes with 3 or 4 pitches. They understand how to come back into the count, you know, those type of things. So we have to make sure that we're not asking someone to do thesis level work when he's still at an undergrad, if that makes sense. We have to make sure that he understands, okay, we're just doing English 1102 right now. We're not doing a master's thesis, right? Because they learn, and I hate to say this, and I don't want to offend anybody, but when you say you don't want to offend anybody, you're going to offend somebody. We've monetized youth sports, and it's really easy for young people to go to a place, and instead of teaching them how to pitch, everybody wants something to hang their hat on. Oh, my spin rate was this, my vertical break was this, my blah, blah, blah. You know, that becomes a problem. Then that becomes the thing that they know, just because everybody understands numbers in a certain context, opposed to, hey, just throw strike 1, just throw strike 2, just throw strike 3, you know? So it's our challenge to make sure that they understand that, and the guys that are more advanced, be more advanced. The guys that aren't, you know, everybody's treated the same, but, you know, you could treat them differently, right? Everybody's treated fairly, but you don't have to treat them the same.
Thank you.
You got it. I hope that was an answer.
Yes.
Yeah, I just got one more for you, Coach.
You can have many more. There's no cap.
A bat that stood out to me a lot last season was freshman Emilio Gonzalez, just because of how intimidating he seemed to be in the batter's box. I was wondering what you saw from him this fall and what you're looking forward to going into the spring with him.
Well, he's matured. You know, he was kind of dropped into a situation last year with Mike getting hurt and being out for the year. So he was kind of dropped into a, hey, you're playing first base every day. And I don't want to say he wasn't ready for it, because I think he did a nice job. But I think at times it was a lot for him to handle. So, you know, I won't tell you the exact conversation we had, but we had a conversation in early January, and I walked away going, okay, he's maturing, he's getting it, you know, where the question was posed to him about, again, I won't give you all of it, but his answer was right on point, you know, and it wasn't an answer that he rehearsed because he knew that's what I wanted to hear. It was a truthful, this is what we all have to learn in life, right? That it's about us, and, you know, not the external, it's about the internal. We've got to do a better job of the internal. We have a tendency to point fingers on the external, that this is holding me back and that's holding me back, but it's more the internal. And his answer was very thought out and internal. And I was like, okay, now once we understand that, he can move forward, right? He's another one, actually, like Tyler, there's a lot of outside expectations on him that I try to tell him that you got to play to have fun. You got to play because you love it. You can't play to satisfy some sort of outside entity that's pushing you. It's always been prevalent, but the third party person that's in these guys' lives now has taken on such a major influence, whether it be advisors, whether it be personal hitting coaches or conditioning coaches. That I've said it for many years, the last couple of years, is the difference between 20 years ago and now. there's so much third-party involvement, and they're listening to now too many people, right? They have too many voices in their head, and it's tough to try to get them to, just concentrate on, and I'm not saying my voice, concentrate on themselves, not the external, but Sam?
Delaware's opening weekend, you have a unique relationship with their head coach. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're excited about that. Greg Mamula was here for 7 years with us and did an amazing job, and he got a chance to be the head coach at Delaware. And one of the first things when he took the job is like, I'm coming down. And it took a year to get it all worked out, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to him. He's a very good coach, and he's a really good person, and he's a great dad, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing him. I haven't seen him. I saw him at the convention. Hadn't really spent a lot of time with him in person. We talk on the phone, but I'm looking forward to it. Mams the team is going to hit, so we've got to be ready. They're going to play hard. He's going to have energy. I'm sure it's a big weekend for him. He's got friends that he lived in Boca for 7 years, and his kids grew up here, so he's got a lot of people coming out. So it's going to be fun to see him. It's always fun, those type of things. So that's another added thing to the weekend of opening weekend. So we're excited about it. Certainly want him to see him do well, not too well. I wish him luck on the next 53 games, but not the first three.
Coach, it's your second year in the American Conference. What are you just seeing from like a talent standpoint going into the second year from the conference?
Well, the league is very talented. It's a resource-driven league. I mentioned this earlier to Frank. We were at Wichita, Memphis, of course Rice, South Florida last year, and very impressive resources for baseball. And then this year we'll go to East Carolina, which has been the kind of standard bearer in the league that everybody's chasing over the last 5-8 years. So with more resources, you get better players, right? But I thought the league was very good, top to bottom. The conference tournament came right down to the end. The last couple teams that got in came right down to the wire. And there's not much difference between the teams that made it and didn't make it. It's a very balanced league. Looking forward to another round of it. This year we've like UTSA and UAB and Charlotte and Rice. We've grown up with, so to speak, and now joining these other guys, it's been challenging. It's been fun. Looking forward to it. Travel is tough. We got 5 plane trips this year. Travel is a little tough, but it's all part of it.
Besides the conference tournament, what's a series that you guys are maybe mainly looking forward to, circling on the calendar for some extra strength or anything like that?
I don't want to. I'm not avoiding the question. I don't believe in that stuff. I don't. I know you're younger, but people have asked me that. I don't believe in that type of stuff. My job is to worry about Friday night, February 14th, and when that game's over, then we worry about the 15th. From a baseball standpoint, I'm a college baseball fan. I'm looking forward to going to East Carolina. They've done an amazing job. Their fan support is legendary, if you will. They average 2 or 3 or 4,000 fans a game on a weekday, and then it might be 5 or 6 on the weekend, I think. They're rabid fans. They love their baseball. So I'm looking for, as a college baseball fan, I'm looking forward to that. But as far as like circling, I don't, because it changes, like everything changes. you have a little bit, I mean, Old Dominion, we had a little bit of a kind of an unbelievable couple series with them, and then we left the league and they went to a different league, we went to a different league, hadn't seen them since, and those things kind of go up and down as teams are good and bad, and coaches change and players change, and so my job is game one, and then we'll go from there after.